I own the original Ray-Ban Meta, the Gen 2, the Blayzer, and the Meta Ray-Ban display. And yesterday, on launch day, I bought their newest pair, the Meta Fury. And as soon as you get your hands on it, you see the obvious difference. There's no Ray-Ban or Oakley branding on it. It's just called Meta Glasses, and it starts at $299, which is a big drop from where the Meta Blayzer were priced at $499. So the obvious question is whether Meta just made a cheaper, worse version of the Ray-Ban Meta, or whether they just made AI glasses more accessible for the masses. And after wearing these for just a few hours, it's clear to me that this isn't a tech leap, and it was never meant to be. It's a price, branding, and market positioning story, and ultimately benefits consumers. So here's what dropped. Meta launched 3 new frames: the Adventurer, the Fury, and the Kylie Jenner model they're calling Starfire. The Fury is the one I picked up. Adventurer and Fury start at $299, the Kylie one is a bit more. The branding is the part I find interesting. These are still made by Essilor-Luxottica, the same company behind Ray-Ban and Oakley, but they don't carry the Ray-Ban name. And that might be the real strategic move by Meta. For years, Meta needed Ray-Ban to make smart glasses feel normal. Now with Apple, Google, and Snap all circling the space, Meta's trying to make Meta glasses, the thing itself, not just the tech which is tucked behind someone else's frame. The $299 price is the main selling point. It's meaningfully cheaper than most of the recent Ray-Ban Meta options. But same caveat I always give you, that's the starting price. If you're adding prescription lenses, transitions, or polarized, the real number climbs. The prescription situation with these glasses is complicated. The frames themselves support a pretty wide range. Meta lists -12 to +2.25, including astigmatism and progressives. But on meta.com itself, you can only order up to -6. So if you've got a stronger prescription like I do, the frame can technically handle it. You just can't buy it that way directly from Meta. You'd have to go through rayban.com or a certified Essilor-Luxottica retailer. In the box, you get the glasses, a foldable charging case similar to the Meta display case form factor, a cleaning cloth, and the guides. The first impression upon putting them on, they feel relatively light and comfortable. And this is where things get interesting. On paper, these aren't actually that light. The spec page lists them at about 54 grams total, which is actually heavier than both my Gen 2 standard size Wayfarers and also heavier than the Blayzer, which comes in at about 49 grams for the standard size. But on my face, they feel better than that number suggests. To me, the comfort lands somewhere between the Gen 2 Wayfarer and the Blayzer. And the reason likely isn't weight, it's fit. These have overextension hinges, adjustable nose pads, and adjustable temple tips, so there's actually a real fitting story here. The Gen 2 Wayfarer kind of just sits where it sits. With the Meta glasses, the app even walks you through the fit during setup, how they should sit, how to adjust the tips, etc. That might sound trivial, but it's clearly something Meta has worked on and wants to make sure these glasses are actually comfortable so people actually wear them as long as regular glasses. One important note, the arms flex on the hinges, but they don't seem to go out as far as the Blayzers do at 10 degrees of rotation, which may explain why these don't feel quite as comfortable as the Meta Blayzer. So what's actually new here? What changed is the frame design and fit, the price, and the microphones. Meta lists a 6 mic setup on these, 2 on the nosepad, 2 on the temple, 2 on the front frame, versus 5 on the standard Wayfarer Gen 2. Does that mean they actually hear you better in real life? Too early to say. But on the audio front, my first impression was that the audio sounded really good. Decent fullness for open ear, and Meta AI picked me up well in my early tests. Speaking of AI, one thing I did want to check out was the underlying AI to see if there was any meaningful difference. Turns out both my Gen 2 Wayfarer and the new Fury are now using Meta's new Muse Spark model, which is likely a big upgrade, but not a Fury-specific change. I also checked translation, and oddly my Gen 2 is showing 14 languages, while the Fury is only showing 6 at the moment, which presumably is just rollout weirdness. The camera is familiar, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide with a 100-degree field of view. In the app, I'm seeing 3K at 30 FPS, 1080p at 30 or 60, and 720p at 120 with 1, 3, and 5-minute recording options, which is pretty handy. One small camera feature I did spot in the app is dynamic photo. The way Meta describes it, it snaps a few extra frames with each shot and recommends the best one, and it pauses in low light. I haven't tested it enough to say if it makes a real difference, but worth flagging as one of the newer software features. One quick note on the app setup. I noticed it was lacking conversation focus. That happened with my Blayzer too, so unclear whether it's just a software rollout issue or whether these glasses won't support it. So who are these for? If you already own the Gen 2 and you like the frame and fit, there is absolutely no need to get these. But if you've been curious about Meta AI glasses and the price was what held you back, these get a lot more interesting. At $500 or $600, you're asking, is this worth the additional price for a pair of glasses? At $299, the question is this useful enough, fun enough, and normal looking enough that I'd actually wear these? And that's a much easier question for Meta to win, and which is why these glasses seem to exist. Thanks for joining me on this early first look, and let me know in the comments if you have specific questions about how these stack up against the other Meta models as I wear them over the next few days. I'll see you next time.